DraftKings Daily Trot. I'm Jason Gilbo at JGilbo11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J. Clay. Taking a look at tonight's 11-game slate. Features another monster Coors game, and this one should be a little bit more even as far as run score goes. It's a pretty simple strategy at this point with this series because of how bad the Reds' starting pitching and bullpen is you just load up on Coors.
I mean, I hate to be the deliverer of simple news, but you just get as many Coors bats in the lineup as you can. And I mean, obviously, if you pay up for Scherzer, that's going to be a little different. But I mean, YOLO this baby out. Just ride this storm. If you're playing cash tonight, I mean, there's a few different directions you can go with pitching and sort of loading up. But yeah, I mean, that's general Reds and Rockies, the double R's.
Yeah, it's been a brutal series so far.
Brutal or fun, depending on which side of the team you've been taking.
If you're the Reds bullpen, does brutal even describe
Yes.
what they're doing to you right now?
But I mean, they've been doing this. Yes, it's just so painful for them. I mean, they're actually not an awful team, but that bullpen just ruins whatever they did the first 6 innings. It doesn't matter because you just get to that 6th inning and it's like, oh, we're giving up 5 runs. So
for sure, in that inning alone, and then they just tack on another one. So
they gave up 10. The bullpen gave up 10 runs last night to give you guys some a visual. I mean, you probably realize that as well, but. Yeah, it's rough out there for them.
Yeah, and it's only going to get worse. But jumping into catcher here, this is a spot where I think you're looking to pay down because, one, it doesn't really feature a Coors guy, but it does. If you want to play Tucker Barnhart at 2,500 in Coors, go for it. I don't hate that. Chatwood's been pretty well this season, but obviously his home splits are going to be above average. So you look at Chatwood, 358 WOBA, allowed 1.76 runs per 9. So I think Barnhart's kind of a fine punt option. Then you're getting Coors exposure.
Yeah, and Dustin Garneau, 2,900 if he's in the lineup. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing there, but Wellington Castillo, I like him at 3K. That's fun and non-Coorsy.
It is, and I think he's probably going to DH would be my guess. I mean, I think you kind of want to get both catchers in the lineup. I mean, I know Castillo struggled of late, but it's not a bad matchup. And as we talked about on the pitcher pod, this game's going to be probably pretty fun, I think, with some of the value in that slate. You can kind of run with it.
Right, but I mean, really, there's no reasonable way I can see someone paying up for Buster Posey and feeling good about it tonight. You're just missing out on so much at the rest of the positions, you know?
Yeah, I can't see myself going above 3,500 on this slate. Yeah. I mean, maybe I'm at Wieters at 39, but I just can't even see myself paying that high up because
I just think if something happens where one of those guys goes off, I'm willing to just, okay, that's fine. I like the process of going with other bats at different positions, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you're looking, Buster Posey is more expensive than Nolan Arenado.
Right.
He's more expensive than Carlos Gonzalez. He's the same price as Charlie Blackmon. You take that into consideration, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So exactly. I do think kind of paying down is where you're looking at there.
Definitely.
First base, and this one doesn't really have a Coors bet outside of Joey Votto. There is no Rockies first base, and you could look at Mark Reynolds. 4,400 is not a bad price tag. I think I'm kind of leaning towards GPPs with him. He's not going to be the immediate Coors bat I kind of lock into my lineup.
Now, we were talking about a little bit before, what do we think about Ortiz and Goldschmidt? We both like them. It's difficult to fit them in, but could you do something weird with maybe a few of the cheaper Coors bats and then them in a lineup, something like that?
You could toss in a Parra, you know, you can get some Reds in there like a Cozarts or whatever, that type of play, Eugenio Suarez, you know, plays like those and go kind of pay up and be a little bit different. I think I'm with you there. You mentioned on the pitching pod about really 1 through 9 is certainly in play. And maybe you use some of those value bets and work them into other stacks, and you're still getting Coors exposure. Because I think it really is, at this point with the previous two games, it's been silly to just completely fade.
Right. And I mean, I don't mind a Segura Goldschmidt like mini and then going with some Coors bats elsewhere. So I think that's kind of manageable and keeps his Segura's 3,900, so that's actually not killing you. And I think you can do stuff with that Red Sox if you do go Ortiz or something like that, like a mini, and then go some of the weaker bats at Coors and like figure it out at pitcher. I mean, it's kind of that kind of stuff that I'm thinking about doing, but I don't think it's really safe to fully fade, you know.
Yeah. Anthony Rizzo, 4,400 is a guy who intrigues me. Going up against
Hmm.
Bolsinger, who's allowed a 358 WOBA to lefty since 2014. That's kind of an intriguing option. I think Rizzo's been rather unlucky this season, more so than actually bad. Still hitting the ball well, not striking out, even less than he did last year. So at that price tag, it's kind of one that I definitely don't mind.
I like Brandon Belt at 4,100 too. I do like the Giants tonight. I think they're an intriguing sort of contrarian move. Even though on a normal night they wouldn't be contrarian at all, they'd be one of the best stacks. But on a night like tonight, I think that's an interesting way. I do think they have some run upside, so um, I definitely like Belt at 4,100 as a one off or in a Giants sort of stack.
Mhm. Yeah, Williams Perez, I mean, struggles with lefties, 1.26 runs per nine, 356 WOBA allowed in that same time span. So I do like Bell. I mean, at that price tag, I think it's a reasonable. I mean, that's kind of where I'm going to be shooting for in that
Hmm.
range.
Right.
Cheaper options, there isn't really a ton that intrigues me down here. I think this is kind of a spot where you do sit in that mid range. Um, I,
Oh,
I,
we
I,
got I got most of my Alex Rodriguez projection correct. He only got three at bats though, so he didn't get a chance to get that 1 for 4 with a home run and two strikeouts. He only got the 0 for 3 with two strikeouts. So we'll call that a
you're missing the
mulligan.
crucial part.
You know what? We didn't get that extra at bat, so we're gonna not count that and move on. But I mean, some nights you just don't get the opportunity to see if you were right or not. So that's unfortunate. Um,
What a way to let yourself off the hook.
he's not really in play tonight. I just thought that was funny. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, when you look down here, Adam Lind against Friedrich, stuff like that. Justin Bohr against Nice, kind of yuck, but
Yeah,
um,
those usual names aren't really in play tonight.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I'm with you. I think you kind of about as low as I'm going. It just seems um, Brandon Belt's about as low 4,100 as I'm going to go.
yeah, I think this is a real high upside position tonight. So, I mean, like normal with David Ortiz on a slate, but there's some guys you really don't want to fully fade this position, in my opinion.
Yeah, looking at second base here, and once again, I mean, when has second base become the most expensive position to deal with?
Ah,
I mean, you got. I mean, if Logan Forsythe was off the deal, you'd have, you know, 6, 7 guys that are over 4,500, which is crazy.
I get Zobrist has a high floor, but is he worth that much?
The way he's hitting the ball lately, I mean, it's Daniel Murphy-esque to put it in terms that you can understand. I
True.
think he does have a reasonably high floor, reasonably high ceiling.
Yeah.
And I kind of see this Houston team. They're more expensive than Coors, but they're also kind of a team that I view like the Red Sox, where maybe you do mix in some value and kind of stack 1 through 4 there.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. Obviously he has a super high floor at this point in the season. He's just been crushing the ball, but Cano, we going back to the well against Friedrich?
I don't mind it as a contrarian one-off play. I mean,
Mhm.
Petco's average for left-handed power, and Cano can handle left-handed pitching, so I don't necessarily mind that.
It's just gonna be, yeah, unless you go with a Cubs sort of stack or something. I don't see getting Altuve in there, even though I do like his matchup.
Mhm. And then, looking lower, I mean, Josh Harrison, DJ LeMahieu, Gene Segura, I think that is the range that I'm going to be sitting in most likely tonight with most of my lineups. LeMahieu, the preferred, obviously, and then I think Harrison kind of comes in second, even with Conley showing some relatively solid starts sometimes this season. But Harrison's hit lefties well, and he's on fire. So he's a guy who I'm just going to kind of head back to the well with in some lineups.
I'm definitely with that. I like that group of three there. I think they can pretty much fit into any lineup, even if it doesn't necessarily match your roster construction. So yeah, I like that range, and it's not killing you for cap either.
Yeah, it's definitely not. And Steve Pearce, he's another guy, matches lefties, 3,700. So I think second base, even we mentioned all those high names being in decent spots. I kind of like this points per dollar range down here. It just kind of makes me feel a little bit more comfortable as far as the rest of my lamp's going to go.
Again, I think we're window shopping with the top options tonight, and then we're like, okay, this is where I'm actually going to go, though, just because of value and all that. I just don't think a lot of those guys up there are realistic options.
Yeah, I think so, too. You're kind of like walking through the mall and you're like, oh, I like this, but you know what you're going to get, which is Coors way down at the other end. Like you're just like, okay, I need to save some cash here for the end.
We went with a shopping analogy, and this probably should have been a wife-girlfriend analogy, but this is a family show, I think. So good thing. All right, let's move on.
I don't know where you're going with that, but all
right. Anyway.
Lower options, and a guy who kind of intrigues me is Sean Rodriguez as a punt at 2,900 for the Pirates. Second base, shortstop eligibility. I definitely don't mind the matchup there. And at that price, he's kind of a deeper option if you can't quite get the LeMahieu's or Seguras of the world there.
Definitely.
So third base, and the fact that Nolan Arenado is priced at 4,500 just kind of makes it so much easier to fade everyone above him.
It's kind of
at least in my opinion.
It was kind of like Carlos Gonzalez yesterday. All right, we're going to put him in. I don't care what his ownership is. I don't care about anything else. We're just putting him in. Just putting him in. Just put him in. He's in. Lock him in. He's in. And then you just move on and you accept that. So, anyway, but yeah, I mean, he pretty much takes all those guys out of play for me.
Yeah, I can't even see myself coming off from this, one-off guy up top. I mean, the fact that those guys are more expensive, I just don't get the pricing here. John Lamb, I mean, to right-handed bats is allowed a 361 WOBA, 1.40 home runs per 9. These right-handed bats are going to kind of eat that up here in Colorado, and I'm all over it.
I can see a lot of the contrarian, like tournament-only guys loving this slate, though, because they're just going to eat up those ownership percentages of all these Coors guys. Like they're going to be looking at like a Chris Bryant or something like that. I think that's a super contrarian way to go, but I think obviously the safe play is Arenado.
Yeah, I would be afraid to kind of fade him. But as you mentioned, I mean, sure, there is a possibility that he goes 1 for 4, doesn't do much. Gets a double in a run, but maybe you get Bryant who has a double homer game or something like that. It is something to consider, and I do think Bryant is an intriguing option. Same with Manny Machado at top. But pricing over
for most of us, it's just gonna be think about it and then not actually do it. But some of y'all out there might do it.
I mean, there are some tournament stores that I don't mind. I think you can do that as far as being contrarian, but I mean, it's also, hey, you look at last night, that's not paying off. If that happens
definitely
again.
Not. Right. And
of course, 17 runs is a lot to like a repeat factor is kind of tough to do, but hey, you look at the starting pitching in this bullpen, it's possible.
It could happen. It really could happen.
Yeah. Looking cheaper here, and I think Nolan Arenado is such a lock, but I think you can talk some value into me. Those two third basemen there in Pittsburgh, Junko Kang, David Freese hit lefties well. Martin Prado, 3,400. So you can go a little bit lower. I don't have a problem with it, but it's so hard to fade Nolan Arenado.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, the Dietrich Mater sort of, usually I'm okay with throwing those guys in, especially as values. But man, what would they have to get for you to feel comfortable fading Arenado? Like 10 at least, right?
Not if Arnado goes for 36 again.
No, that's what I mean. Like, what do you normally need versus what do you really need from them tonight to feel comfortable actually fading him? So it's gonna, you kind of have to really talk yourself into it to actually do it.
Yeah. Looking at shortstop, though, I think this is kind of an intriguing position to pay down for. I mean, obviously, Trevor Story is going to be kind of your top option there at 5,200. But I do think he's kind of a fadeable Coors bat for me, just because, one, he hasn't been playing that well, and he does have relatively low floor in consideration to the other Coors options. So I can see spinning down. I'm not making him a priority tonight, even though that big upside's there.
Yeah, his season-long numbers aren't really representative of what he's been doing over the last month. He's kind of been struggling. So, of the guys, I think there are some in this range that I mean, it's a big drop off from Machado, Bogart's Story to the rest there. So, this might be where you want to make your move off, and maybe go with like shift down to a Cozart here or something like that. I think that's a nice way to go.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, Carlos Correa, 3,600 facing a lefty at home, certainly intriguing. I mean, he's my kind of the guy who jumped out at me when I first looked at this slate as far as a value goes. It's kind of hard to pass up at that price, and I think he'd be kind of a nice shift off of course to get some exposure.
Yeah, definitely with that.
If you're looking cheaper, I mean, if Hecavario's in, I think you can look at him as a contrarian option. We talked about Motter, but Motter is kind of a better option here at shortstop since he's eligible at 2,800 to just kind of toss in and save some cash with.
Yeah, like you mentioned, much better. You feel much better about fading here than you do about third. So, fit him in here. I mean, it's the normal cast of characters. Gregorio Pettit, if he's in the lineup, kind of guys like that. I think you can manage here. Brad Miller, 3,100. I think those guys are all pretty manageable at short.
Looking at outfield, this one, you got Carlos Gonzalez at 45, you got Blackman at 47, but then you got a lot up top. So, I mean, are you going to make some pivots here at outfield as far as paying up, or are you just kind of stick with the two or three Colorado outfielders and just roll from there?
Well, is Mookie Betts going to hit 3 home runs again tonight? Because, I mean, I'd like a little warning next time. I was not prepared for that one. But, yeah, I mean, they are good options. I'm not sure about paying 5,100 for Ozuna tonight. That doesn't make me feel comfortable. Same with Fowler, but obviously, I mean, Trout, Bryant, Bats, yeah, those guys are all worthy of being pay ups. I just don't see how it's going to work out for me in terms of roster construction.
Yeah, I mean, it's about $1,000 difference from Cargo to Mookie, so you take that and you're getting a Coors exposure. I mean, kind of looking at this lineup, it that takes the cake right there for me in that middle tier range, and then I kind of want to look at some value elsewhere.
Right. Yeah, I don't think you want to go up into the 5K range really, unless you're being super weird, and then you're already being weird. So head on up there, but yeah, that's pretty much not in play for me.
Yeah, if you look lower, I mean, Ryan Rayburn's going to be in the lineup most likely against Islam there. 3,600 not a bad price tag at all.
Definitely.
But as you mentioned, I mean, Jordan Parra, depending on what they do with that outfield situation, he'll be a guy to take a look at as well.
Yeah, the start of this Seattle offense, Aoki 3,500. I think that's an interesting way to go. Seth Smith too.
Yeah. I mean, the Seattle offense has been kind of cruising. You look at that outburst yesterday; it kind of puts things into play. I'm trying to find someone down low that I kind of feel comfortable with, and I mean, you wish Joey Ricard was kind of coming off of a stronger outing over the last week or so, but the way he's been playing is kind of hard, even though he's in a decent matchup against Joe Kelly.
Yeah, same with Cameron Maben. 2 for his last 13. You kind of knew that was coming, but it's going downhill.
Yeah. 3K though, Franklin Gutierrez is going to get the lefty there. He's been hitting the ball really well. 4 homers in the last 10, hitting over 330. He's a guy who I think is cash game playable to save some value there. And even GPP wise, I mean, you're getting a decent bat in a decent spot there. The only thing that's really against him is the park factors, but at that price, like, I definitely don't mind it.
What do you think, Mikey Matuk?
If he's hitting up second again, I mean,
2,900.
yeah, I mean, given he's 1 for 21 on the season, it's a little tough to deploy him. But these Rays do have some value bats that could help you kind of get those big payoffs as far as hitters go and get that next tier of pitching. So that's going to wrap things up here with the DK Daily Trot. Be sure to check out dailyfantasycafe.com for all our great tools and content.